But hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Becoming Bankable podcast. I'm your host, as always, Christian Shaw. And with me today, I'm sitting down with Hung Nguyen, one of my good friends from Masters of Fate Brotherhood. And I don't know too much about your story, so I'm really excited to dive deep into your story of entrepreneurship, how you got your start, and kind of the ups and the downs so we can learn from your story.
Yeah, man. So excited to be here as well. So I just wanted to start off by saying, the reason why I actually got into entrepreneurship was because I used to be working corporate. And I used to be sitting in a cubicle, those gray walls. And I was like sitting there one day and I'm like, how did I go from wanting to be an entrepreneur and business owner my whole life to getting stuck inside of gray cubes? So I literally looked at the gray cubes and I was like, is this where my dreams go to die? And that's the first question I asked. And so I was like, I can't have my dreams die here. So I basically gave my wife a call and I was like, hey, look, we can go the traditional route, save money, buy a house, get married and blah, 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 blah. Or two, I could quit my job and start a company. And she was like, be happy. And that's how I got my start, actually.
That's an amazing partner. That's a huge risk for the both of you. What year was this that you were surrounded by the gray walls?
This was actually in 2013. So
Okay.
This is my 10th year as being an entrepreneur.
Okay, got it. Congratulations. It's an
Thanks,
amazing
man.
milestone. I'm on my 7th year, going to my 8th year, so not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But cool, man. So what corporate what position were you in, or what kind of
So
company?
I was actually working with AECom. They're like, well, at the time, they were the third biggest engineering firm. And I was helping them with purchasing and expediting, which was to pick up stuff for renewable energy, right? So we were doing crazy stuff, man. Like we were recycling sand to make oil. We were doing liquid extraction, so taking ethanol from wastewater and stuff like that.
Huh. So you've always been into the renewable resources technology space,
No,
or
I
was
haven't actually. So after this whole thing with AECom, I actually stopped doing that and went straight into real estate. Because when you start your company, you never know what you want to do. The biggest thing is like, what do you do? What do you want to do? Like when you go to school, same thing, right? It's like, what do you want to do? Like, well, I
what
don't
do you
know.
want to be when you grow up?
Yeah, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah,
Exactly.
still haven't figured
Um,
that.
yeah. So when I quit my job to be an entrepreneur, I was like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, yeah.
So the funny thing so I quit and I didn't even have a plan or anything like that. I just wanted to be an entrepreneur and that's all I knew. So the funny thing I basically turned on the TV and HGTV was on there. And I was like, well, why don't we go and flip houses? That's how
Oh
we
my,
actually got started.
that is such an amazing origin story. Most people have like a desire. Like when I think of like myself, I'm very conservative by nature, and I wanted to like have like a plan and a roadmap and like something like that I was interested in, or something I want to pursue that I can make money in. But you were just like F it, like you just wanted to get out of the corporate box. It seems like.
Yeah, exactly. That was exactly it, man. I just didn't even know what I wanted to do, had no plans, just like, well, let's just jump in, right? Head first.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so you watched the HGTV episode and you were like, these guys are making a lot of money. They are doing something right. And then you got into real estate.
yeah,
Is that
yep,
the gist of it?
exactly. So I didn't know what to do, and I was just like, what am I supposed to do, or whatever. So I started looking up stuff, and then I went and attended the Robert Kiyosaki's 3-day class for flipping houses or whatever, wholesaling houses. And then I went over to Chief Denny, and they basically taught the same thing. And then I saw a Clever Investor, and I was like, man, these guys are like freaking expensive as hell. Like it's like a $40,000 course or $60,000 course. Like I'm not paying that. That's ridiculous. So yeah, I went and started going up to meetup groups, and I was like, I can learn this thing on my own. And I kind of got lucky. I found someone that wanted to mentor me. So he basically
Mm.
owner financed the house for us and with zero money out of pocket and all that stuff. He didn't really teach us anything. Like the first day, he was like, here's a contract. And it was like 26 pages. And he's like, here's the contract. You need to learn how to fill this thing out and cross out all the stuff that doesn't make sense. And so, and then he's like, you have until tomorrow to do this. And so at the time, my business partner and I, we were like, well, shoot, man, like, what are we supposed to do? So we started YouTubing. We started looking up all these things. Like, we didn't even understand like the contract language. But yeah, we ended up coming to the thing, and dude, the contract was like 90% not filled out.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And like we were like trying to make up every excuse so that way he would still mentor us. And he was like, "This is exactly what I wanted: was you guys
Mm.
to fall on your face and fail. At least you guys gave it a shot." And I was
Mm.
like, "Oh, thanks." Freaked us out for a whole day for no reason.
So I'm assuming you got your bearings and you were able to start learning, reading the contracts, understanding this market, and you were able to successfully like flip houses, like singles and doubles, and
Oh
uh,
yeah, so I started learning how to flip. I started learning how. So like, man, it was crazy though. Like our first flip, we didn't pull permits. We didn't even know what permits were. We didn't even know anything. So we we basically learned how to do everything based off YouTube.
yeah.
And then we got caught like with the red sticker, stop work order. And so we had to go and find a GC to pull a permit for us, do the whole thing all over again. Um, so yeah, we made $300 for the first whole entire year. And
All right.
yeah, so over the course of the next 3 years, I basically learned how to perfect it, right? So like I learned
Mhm.
like areas that you can actually pull permits extremely fast, day permits. We learned how to control crews better, logistics wise, telling them when to start and stop, when to buy materials, when to order materials before we even close, which ones do we order, which ones we don't. So we mapped out that whole thing. Pretty much built out a $10 million company just flipping houses and wholesaling houses and stuff.
Is this just in the Colorado,
It was
Denver
actually in
area?
Houston.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, it was Denver and Houston. So I started in Denver and then I moved over to Houston and did that and over there. That was when I got the first shock of reality. So a business partner of mine basically went over to Tulum, Mexico, and was like, dude, let's just stick together forever. Like, we're just going to absolutely crush it. We're going to freaking kill it. Make so much freaking money, man. Like, we got the biggest contracts of all time. Next morning, he comes back to Houston, and our bank account is dry, and every single employee was fired. We had about 38 people at the time. And so, yeah, I went spiraling downhill, man. I was just like way downhill and didn't know what to do. I tried to restart my life a couple times. Um,
What happened to the employee? What happened to the bank account and everything?
oh, he took the money and he ran. My business partner. Yeah,
What the? F-
yeah. So
he came back to Houston and then he did that, or he stayed in Tulum, or like, did you not hear any?
no, so I didn't hear anything after that. Like he was like pretending to be in the hospital and all these things. Like, he called his dad and stuff, and he's like, yeah, he's been in the hospital. And I called his girlfriend. Yeah, she said the same thing. Like, he basically got everybody to lie for him, basically saying that he was in the hospital the whole time. So I was like, fuck, like it didn't even make sense.
Yikes!
Um,
Wow.
but yeah, so after all that happened, yeah, man, we basically I my friends actually was the one that pulled me out. They were like, dude, you're a fucking badass like entrepreneur, like you should start over again and help me build my company, like help me scale up my company and all these things. And I was like, dude, I don't even know if I can. I lost confidence in myself. I didn't even know if I knew how to make another dollar. It was crazy, man. Yeah, my one of my friends was like, dude, you're freaking awesome. Like, you can probably be a COO if you wanted to of my company. And he was running like a $5 million company at the time. And I started doing it a little bit. I did it for like 3 months, but then COVID happened, and dude, it was just a nightmare. Right? It was like, dude. So yeah, COVID didn't allow us to do anything. We couldn't fly out. We couldn't meet with people. We couldn't shake hands. We couldn't go into houses. We couldn't do anything. Basically, at that point, I started doing virtual like coaching and business scaling, automation systems and stuff like that.
Okay.
And dude, I was just like struggling like crazy because I was just like, dude, I have no money. I had no money. I siphoned my credit cards to pay off all my employees because they called me and they're like, dude, why did I get fired? And all these things. So I paid them all. And they were like, I couldn't pay my car bill. I couldn't pay rent and all these things. So I literally siphoned my cards. So I literally had $300,000 worth of debt trying to start a new company. And I didn't know what to do, man.
Oh shit, dude. And that
So,
was the middle of COVID
yep.
when you took on that role of the CEO of your friend's company.
Yep, exactly. But that didn't last long. It was like 3 months because, COVID and all that stuff. So then I started my own thing, just doing straight pure automations and systems as business consulting. And so I got kind of lucky. People started knowing me. And so they just brought me on. And so I just got clients without ever marketing. So like 2022, that was when I met Andrew at the end of it. And I was just like, dude, another coaching program. Are you kidding me? Like, I can't even make $1 and you want me to pay for a coaching program. And at this point, I've already paid for so many coaching programs, right? Like I paid someone to teach me about YouTube, and I paid somebody to teach me about systems and all
Mhm.
these things. And I just never got anything out of it just because my mentality was broken, right? Like if I couldn't get my mindset on, then there was no point in hiring more coaches. So at this point, Andrew approached me from Masters of Fate, and he's just like, here, take the system, take the Airtable. Like, I'm not even going to charge you. Just jump on a call with Larry and just get it done. Implement the Airtable. And I was like, shit, dude, like, what the fuck? And then I jump on the call with Larry and I was like, man, are you going to sell me something and just sell it? Like, tell me the price and blah, blah, blah. He's like, nope, I'm not selling you anything. I'm giving it all for free. Like, I just want you to see how it is and I'll give you instruction how to use it. And here's this and that. And I was just like, the heck? Who the heck just wants to sit there and just help somebody out for free? I was like, what the fuck? This doesn't even make sense. That's how I got introduced to Masters of Fate.
Nice. And you were able to see, like, did that help? Was that what you needed at the time? The systems and the, the processes that Andrew built with Airtable?
Oh yeah. So Airtable changed my whole game basically. So my whole system, my whole company runs on Airtable,
Got it.
100% of it. So it doesn't. Yeah, I do everything on Airtable now. But yeah, I didn't know that I needed it until I needed it, right? So yeah, Andrew, he let me sign on. Yeah, and then I met with a buddy of mine that did some shadow work for me, and he basically cleared some of the shadows. And I used Andrew's systems in order for me to build the company. Just being around guys like yourself and Andrew and Dakota, like Larry, like Nick
Yeah.
Robbins, man, like it's like it was kind of addicting, right? So I was just like, when I went to Miami, I actually told Nick and Dakota, I was like, dude, I'm not going to be able to make the event. I can't
Yeah.
even afford it. Like I almost got evicted.
I
So
remember, I remember
yeah,
this. At the top of this year, 2023.
yeah, exactly. In February this year, I almost got evicted. I have the actual eviction thing, and went from making like $100,000 a year in gross revenue to we are actually at 9.9 million right now, almost clearing $10 million in 1 year.
Oh my gosh, man. That is absolutely insane. How did you do that? So the eviction notice came in. You were like, I can't go to Miami. You can't make like you can't make it. Like what changed?
A couple things changed. So we didn't have that much money. We knew that we wanted to grow this thing, and actually at first this was just like a side hustle to make some money. I was just gonna take him on as like a client or whatever. But then like after I like was looking at it, and I was just like, man, I really like this company. And I'm one of the original founders of the company. I basically got kicked out of the company, or I actually volunteered to quit. So I sold 100% of my shares of this company 3 years ago for $1,100.
Of the current detached reset solar?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I sold it for $1,100, all 33% of my shares. And
Okay.
um, so what's funny is because like eventually it was he was like, dude, I really need help. I'm struggling. I need to scale. I don't have systems in place. I need operations, right? So I came back with like a little sliver of hope. He's like, I was like, all right, man, I'll help you do it for $2,000 and I'll earn out the rest of my position. and the position was only for 10% of the company. But eventually, what happened was he loved my system so much that he allowed me to earn back 100% of my equity that I sold off 3 years ago. So yeah, now I'm a partner with him again, and yeah, we've been pushing like crazy hard, right? So the first book that we decided, so the first thing that we started doing was we realigned our core values.
Mm.
So our core values was everything. Andrew taught us run a business with core values rather than just doing it, right? Like thinking about the money, thinking about all these things, like think that money is going to solve all your happiness problems, et cetera, et cetera. Where that's not true. You have to actually keep your core values. So as long as you keep your core values, then you build your business around it. Then that's where you actually start thriving. So we started building out and mapping out all our core values, and then I used a cool tool called ChatGPT. I'm sure nobody's ever heard of them. Um, so I put in all of the duplicate core values
Mm.
into ChatGPT, and I told them to make me an acronym or like a word out of these things, right?
Yep.
So I got that done, and yeah, we kept it to the day. So it's chalice, like drinking out of the cup of the kings. And so it's communication, honesty, appreciation, leadership, intention, integration, consistency, and education. We want to make sure that everyone gets integrated into our systems properly, making sure that communication is the forefront of everything, et cetera, right? And always learning. So we started doing that. So the part of learning was we have to read a book for the whole company once per quarter or per month. Per every month, we have a new book. So the first book we decided to read was the 12-week year. And so if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. So the 12-week
Yeah.
year tells you to, so most people always procrastinate until the very end of the year, and you're like, oh shit, it's the end of the year, we got to do all our stuff, and then it's too late, right? But if you change your year to 12 weeks, now you're thinking every day is a week, every week is a month, every month is now a quarter. So we actually started mapping things out. We started doing things at accelerated speeds, and yeah, we set up all our systems in place. And then the second month was all about branding. So we started branding. We started going out to marketing events and all these things. So we knew that how we wanted to grow and all that stuff by having plans in place.
Mm.
And I already built out the system for us to now grow, right? So the first event that changed it was actually Win the Storm, which was actually in Miami. And no, Fort Lauderdale. So it happened right before the event and Masters of Fate in Miami. So
Oh, interesting.
so
Okay.
it lined up actually perfectly.
What did you take away from that event? What did you get out of that? The 12-week, 12 week,
The 12-week year.
12-week year? Is that what
No,
that was about?
that was the book. The Win the Storm was the first event that for roofing companies and solar companies and stuff like that. Any solar restoration. Oh, not solar. Any storm restoration, right? So like siding guys, window guys, roofing guys, and we were working on solar maintenance. So that was our first event. But yeah, it lined up perfectly with the Miami event. So then, like, I just stayed in Fort Lauderdale, drove over to Miami, and that's how I was able to go to that event. So, like,
Gotcha.
literally, like all the stars aligned for me to actually go.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me, the 12-week year reminds me of Dr. Benjamin Hardy's methodology, where every quarter essentially is a year, and he thinks about like how do I live, you know, how do I live compartmentalize a year and into 3 months. Um, so that's a really cool little like time hack thing, because as you said, most people wait. They create their New Year's resolutions and they wait till the end of the year to to fulfill on them. Where
Exactly.
like it's not enough time. Like you're waiting too long. Um, okay, so Hung, what would you say to like your old self? Like if you could go back again and start over, I'm sure you would have some advice to give like your 2013 your old self, and then even potentially the 2020, move it into that new business venture. What
Yeah.
would piece of advice would you give yourself at those points in time?
So what I would say is, and this sounds kind of cheesy, and I know every single person in the entire universe says it, and nobody believes it. Is the first thing is we actually just had a conversation about this with my partner yesterday. If you knew you couldn't fail, would you go all in, right? And the answer is everybody would always say yes, but at the time everybody has fear. So the fear, like even myself, right? I had that fear. So that fear actually caused me not to take the action that I needed, right? I was like, maybe I should invest this much money into this. No, I can't do it. I might fail, right? But the thing is I know that now I won't fail, right? So I know that I'm playing to win instead of playing not to lose. And there's a big distinction. Go all out and think big is probably what my message would be.
Amazing, man. What's next for you? What's next for your company, Detach Reset Solar? What are your aspirations, or what would you like to take that next step for your life and your company?
Yeah, so they always say, making their first million is the hardest. Man, I was sweating bullets. Like I didn't even know. Like some nights I worked 24 hours a day just to get to $1 million, right? And so the first million was always the hardest. And then they say $10 million is the next milestone, and then making your $100 million is easier than all of those. And we actually started seeing that now. So our goal is to actually expand nationwide and grow to a $100 million company.
That's amazing. Where can people find you if they would like to connect and collaborate with you?
Detachresetsolar.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Hung Nguyen. Instagram is detachresetsolar_Hung. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll put it down in the show notes for everybody to see. And thank you so much for taking the time, Hung.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, everybody. Take care. We'll see you guys on the next episode of the Becoming Bankable podcast, where we bring together entrepreneurs and successful business owners such as Hung to share their stories, because what we believe is that success leaves clues. So that's our belief. Thank you, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you again soon.